Alright guys, hey here. What's up everybody? So I'm gonna go through a rundown, cause I am pretty much done with my PTS playthrough. My PTS journey is pretty much done. I don't have much else I need to accomplish on it. I've leveled 6 characters up to 30-ish. I'm not planning on going all the way up to 55 or ancestry levels or anything like that right now, because I know that I'm gonna have to re-level characters anyways, or re-level my character anyways for the actual live release. So I just don't see the point in leveling all these different characters right now. But I did want to test out multiple different skill sets, multiple different things, test out the leveling, testing out the new gear, all the stuff, you know, PTS is coming out. And my thoughts on that are pretty much, it's good. I like the way Archeage Unchained is looking. I like the way it's set up. I didn't really particularly notice any of the differences in the environment or anything like that, but I guess I don't know if that's fully released yet or fully implemented, and I didn't go that far past level 30, so again, I just might not have seen the areas that are like that. But the main thing I wanted to talk about, because I am going to be I just, as far as my playstyle is concerned, I never play classes that are really meta. Like, I never played a Dark Runner. I won't play a Dark Runner. I have no interest in playing a Dark Runner. And in fact, the opposite of that, even though it's constantly proclaimed that it's terrible and it's worst or whatever, and my opinion on that is I don't care. I enjoy playing hybrid classes. I enjoy playing classes that involve multiple main skill trees and combine their uses together in order to be strong. So what I mean by that is, previously, before Unchained got announced, I was playing a Fangborn. Fangborn is Malediction, Shadowplay, and Archery. The reason I found that this build works and I enjoyed the playstyle is because of Malediction having several skills that reduce both physical and range damage, or magic and range damage, I should say. Sorry, Malediction is magic. So because it has Malediction has a skill that reduces physical and magic defenses, and Archery and Shadowplay have skills that reduce or increase magic and range damage. I felt the class worked very well together. I didn't particularly care that other people said it wasn't as good. I still to this day do not care. The class was enjoyable to me. I had fun playing it, and so I played it. And that's pretty much how I view this game. There's 220 class combinations. Now, I will admit, I don't think all of them are viable. One such would be like Sorcery, Battle Rage, and Archery. I don't think that's a viable class. But I think the difference between that being an unviable class and the difference between what I play is that there's nothing that'll benefit all three of those skill sets working independently, because all three of those skill sets have different skill combinations. They just don't work together all together as a threesome. Whereas if you can find stuff that will both buff ranged and magic, or magic and melee, you can make that work, because you can be at buffs for both sets without having to sacrifice anything. That's why I think there's a lot more, personally I believe there's a lot more viable classes than are currently being played, and I think that's just mostly due to new player bias as well as returning player bias, which means a lot of people who are returning or new are going to end up going and Googling what's the most common classes, and those will be the heaviest played classes, because they're just easy for newer players to understand. There's a lot of content on them, and to be honest, a lot of those classes are fairly keyboard smashing, in especially like Dark Runner. That one's fairly simple to understand the basics of. Whereas more combination classes, they're hybrid classes as they really are called, are a little bit more difficult to comprehend and a little bit more intensive on properly managing your rotations, which is why I understand that they would be a little bit less liked within the community. I don't have a problem with that. The problem I do have is that people will constantly flame you or get upset that you're not playing a meta class and sit there in your chat and talk about how it's not the best class. And I'm going to preface this because I'm going to be playing hyper classes the entirety of Archeage Unchained. I'm going to preface this by saying I do not care. I do not care how you feel about my class. I do not care if you like my class. I do not care if you think my class is best top tier or not. I do not care whatsoever. What I do care about is enjoying the gameplay and enjoying it for myself, and I think you as a player should have that same mentality, where you find a class that you enjoy, regardless of how other people feel about it. You should be able to enjoy what you enjoy. Now, to get to the main point of this video, I'm going to go over the 6 classes that I played through and am looking at, or will be taking a look at, and one of them will be my main class, starting Archeage Unchained. So I'm going to leave Avatar and edgeripper for the last, because those two involve the new class. They're a little bit more difficult to explain. So I'm going to start with just classes that are very basic and very simple and are already currently playable within the current Archeage, but will be getting some buffs basically because of the changes to ancestral skills that makes them even more fun to play and more viable for my playstyle. So the first one of which is Spellsword. Spellsword is, and I actually have all these pulled up, and I will leave links to all of these, like all of these skills that I'm going to do. I'll leave things to all of them. I can't do it for edgeripper and Avatar, so that's why I'm going to explain those last. But the other 4, I will leave links to them in as far as what I'm thinking as far as skill sets and how I'm going to work. So Spellsword is essentially Battle Rage, Sorcery, Songcraft. Now, the reason I get this class to work is because Battle Rage gains so much from being able to run multiple dual wielding classes, and it also gains a lot from snares. Sorcery has a lot of slows and a lot of snares, so that's why I'm running it that say. And it also has stunts based off of like chain lightning and arc lightning and stuff like that. There's damage over time. There's just plenty of stuff to play around that really helps out Battle Rage in the way that I want to play Battle Rage, which is a heavy movement based style with a lot of snares and movement in between casts, and then using some sorcery skills as well as Battle Rage to deal my damage. So essentially I run this as a 7-5-6 setup. So 7 into Battle Rage, or I'll even run it a little bit, but yeah, typically I'll run it 7-6-5, 7-5-6 setup. So 7 into Battle Rage, 6 into, or 5 into Songcraft, and then 6 into Sorcery. You get 18 skill points, so that's the best kind of benefit. And Songcraft only particularly needs 5 skill points to be beneficial. So, and that being Zeal. And then I run the extra 7 into Battle Rage because I get a little bit more melee crit. And then because I usually main Sorcery for the CCs and the slows, as well as some quick burst, not so much as well as my main damage source. So that's how the skill kind of works. You really want to highlight skills like your Tiger Strike, your Charge, your Weakness, and Whirlwind Slash are really the kind of highlights of the build, because they all work off of slows, stuns, snares. All of those skills have great synergy with stuff like that. As far as Songcraft, I'm not entirely certain of just what I want to do, but I do know you need critical strain, or startling strain I should say. Dissonance is always good, and critical discord are always good. Those 3 are absolutely going to be necessary. I'm not sure what other 2 I'm going to run. I may end up running Sonic Wave. I may run Bulwark Ballad. It's possible that I'll run Double Time, and it's also possible that I'll run Bloody Shanty or Battle Hymn. I'm just not entirely certain of which ones I want to run quite yet. I'm not entirely certain. I'm going to take a deeper look before I actually post everything, and I'll have kind of a final build looking at it. As far as Sorcery, you're actually just going to run things like Freezing Earth. You're going to run Flame Barrier. Flame Barrier got some new ancestral skills in this updated Archeage. so that's why I'm running that. The new ancestral skills are really strong looking to me, so I feel like, and they have great synergy with slows, snares, and all that stuff. So I'm planning on running those. I'm gonna run Flame Bolt. Flame Bolt. The reason I think the weaknesses of Battle Rage is that it doesn't have anything to challenge at range. So that's why I want to use Flame Bolt, so I can challenge at range and then get into melee. Once I get the particular stuns or snares or traps, whatever I want to do off, that gives me the ways to get in and the ways to really deal my damage. So personally, Spellsword is at the top of my list right now. That's probably, it's looking at it's going to be the most likely choice that I choose, but I'm still in debate between the rest. So heading into the next class, that's Infiltrator. So what Infiltrator is a range class. It's archery, songcraft, archery, shadowplay, and sorcery. So that's that skill works a little bit differently in that it's really focused on keeping people at bay and keeping them slowed and away from you. So that's why I'm kind of playing around with that. It's one of the two ranged classes that I have set up right now. Infiltrator and Avatar are the two ranged classes. I'll get to Avatar later, but what Infiltrator really is focused on is dealing as much range damage and magic damage as you can. So you get the shadow play, so you can pick up things like Drop Back, you can pick up things like Stalker's Mark, Free Runner, stuff like that, Leech, all to help you out and keep you at distance and keep your enemy at distance. You want to get Charge Bolt, you want to take things like Charge Bolt, Fending Arrow, and Blazing Arrow to help you out in as far as archery. And then for sorcery, you want to get things like Insulating Lens. Again, I go with Freezing Earth. But the reason I go with Freezing Earth in this type of build is there's going to be melees and eventually they might get to you. And if they do manage to get to you, then you want to be able to jump back away from them after putting on Freezing Earth so that you can keep them in place and get away from them. So it's kind of that type of playstyle where it's a really heavy game of keep away with some extra synergies to keep you to give you some extra buffs and give you extra movement speed to keep you really away from players. So that's how I'm planning on using that. It's kind of that type of synergy. I'm probably gonna run this. If I had to choose, I'd probably run this as probably a 4, but 5 is possible too if you want to run the new poison. Poison weapons did get poison weapon is getting a ancestral skill in the upcoming patch, so it's possible to run that, but I'm not entirely certain on if I would do that. I'm not sure how strong that's gonna be yet. I would have to test that out first to really see how strong that poison damage is gonna be. It's decent damage, and it is magic damage, and you're already gonna scale some magic damage, so it's somewhat okay. But if it's not necessary, I would basically run that as a 4 set and then run 7 into sorcery and archery. I think that, yeah, it's 14 and then 18. So yeah, that's pretty much what I would run that as, is 7-4-4 or 7-4-7. Would have for my Infiltrator seal is most likely going to be my setup for that. The next one is Enforcer. For Enforcer, I basically run Enforcer again is Battle Rage, Oromancy, Sorcery. Again, this is going to be probably this is a little bit difficult. This would probably be another 7-6-5, or 7-5-6 I should say. Again, 5 into Oromancy, 6 into Sorcery, 7 into Battle Rage. And that's mainly just so I can, because you only really need a couple of things, and then the 7 node in Battle Rage is probably a little bit more beneficial than the 7 node in Sorcery, because you're really trying to get melee range. You're just going to be dealing spell damage. So I just feel like that's a little bit better off outright. And you're going to end up dual wielding anyway, so the extra parry weight is probably better overall than the just a little bit of damage that you're going to get. So yeah, most likely it'll be a 7-5-6. Picking up Thwart, picking up things like Spell Shield, getting things like Shrug It Off, getting things like Teleport, Health Lift. That makes this class really tanky-ish. So it's pretty decent against things like Dark Runners and stuff like that. Again, a lot of these classes were kept in mind with I need to be able to deal with Dark Runners, because I feel like there's going to be a huge amount of Dark Runners in the game. And for most of these classes, I'm actually running leather sets. just because I like the balanced defenses. I just feel like that's better for my personality. You can choose whatever you want, it's up to you, but that's what I probably would look at. Again, this is kind of very similar to how a Spellsword works, except that you have a little bit different of skill set. You have a little bit more tankiness and a little bit less mobility. But it's not terrible amount of lack of mobility, because you still get things like you're still gonna get things like teleport and stuff like that. So you still have teleport, Tiger Strike, stuff like that to get in and get out, but it's just a little bit different in terms of the playstyle. This is probably a little bit stronger than Spellsword, but I just like Spellsword's playstyle a little bit better. And Spellsword, I think, deals probably a little bit more damage output than Enforcer would. But yeah, that'll be a 7. But yeah, for as far as that, it'll be 7 Battle Rage, 5 Romancy, 6 Sorcery. The last one is Battlemage. The ones that are currently playable, like they could be playable right now in live. This one is a little bit different. This is my only class that uses a shield. This is going to be Scepter Shield, and the reason is because Battlemage includes defense. So Battlemage is set up as defense, occultism, sorcery. So what I will probably do as far as this is actually another 7-6-5, and this is 7 as far as sorcery, 6 as far as defense, and then 5 as far as occultism. So that's the setup for a Battlemage, which is sorcery, occultism, defense. You mostly want to just pick up the defensive stuff from the defense tree, so stuff like health lift, stuff like toughen, stuff like you're actually going to grab the taunts. At least I will be, because I'm kind of playing this as a mid-range tank type thing that deals spell damage. So the reason I went plate is actually just because it's a little bit easier to deal with melees, I think, from this mindset. And plus, you really want to get the extra health because of the way defense tree works. You just get so much extra from having higher health values, higher stuff like that. It's just much better for playing that way. So I mostly pick up things like Redoubt. I'll grab Redoubt, Mocking Howl. I'll grab Boastful Roar. I'll grab Toughen, Refreshment, and Revitalizing Cheer. So just keep myself alive. I'll probably grab Invincibility, but I'm not sure yet on that. Between Invincibility or Toughen, I'm not sure exactly which one I would choose. But those are the main skills I would really look at as far as everything like that. Occultism, you're really just going to pick up things like Crippling Mire, because you want Wave Crippling Mire. If you can get it, you're going to grab Summon Crows, you're going to have Health Spears. You'll end up wanting probably Summon Wraith would be good, and then you'll want to get Shadow Step for a little bit of mobility. So stuff like that is really beneficial to you as far as everything like that. And then as far as your Sorcery class, you're just going to pick up stuff to help you out from range, Insulating Lens, things like that. Things that'll help you out with slows and help you out once you get in on people, to be able to freeze them and keep them in place. As far as heading into the last two classes really are involved with the new skill tree, which is Shadowblade. So those ones I can't actually give you a link to it yet, because it's not actually up on our Archeage Codex. I don't have the well, I can see the skill trees, I just can't. Dude, I don't care about Fnatic. I just don't. I don't like Fnatic. That's whatever. But as far as Shadowblade is a little bit different. Shadowblade is just kind of fun class. It's fun to move around with. It's got a lot of mobility and stuff like that. So Edgeripper and Avatar are just different. Edgeripper uses sorcery, and then Avatar uses archery. So that's kind of the playstyle there. So Avatar is really focused on getting a lot of bleed stacks, a lot of slows. It's another type of keep away class. So I actually don't use a lot of the melee abilities. What I actually use is a lot of the blink, things like there's a slow skill they have that's ranged. I can't think of the name right now, but those type of things are what I'm going to use in Avatar to keep enemies away. And then if they get in, I have things like pin down, I have things like drop step, I have things like what's the name of that skill? Oh, I can't think of the name of the skill. Hold on, let me look it up real quick. Go to one of my free runner. There we go. Free runner, things like that to keep them away, keep you safe, lets you really duel with people without actually having to worry about it. Archery is great for slows. Endless Arrows is great with dealing with great synergy with slows. Has great synergy with bleeds. And Shadow Blade, almost all the main damage skills in that have really great synergy with bleed as well. So that's how this class is kind of played, is that you really want to keep enemies away, and then if they get on you, and apply as much bleed as you can, and then you can kind of stealth out, deal your damage, and then get away from them, so that you can keep that kind of, it's kind of a mid-range class. Like all of my playstyle in general in this game is really kind of a mid-range duelist, so that's why I typically will go with styles like that where I can keep them away or get in close. It's kind of both those playstats that really help me out. And then sorcery is kind of different. It's really more focused on the melee aspect and using the sorcery skills for slows and stuff like that, to keep people near you so that you can really deal damage. It does have one skill in it that is really tied well with snares, so it's your main dash, and it's really one of your main movement abilities. So you really want to be able to use that. That's what edgeripper is based on. This class right here is really based on that, for keeping enemies near you and really getting a lot of damage output. So you're going to take things like bleed, you're going to take things like free runner, you're going to take things like that, and then you're still probably going to end up grabbing things like stealth just to pick up the extra damage, because all your skills as far as shadow play and shadow blade both work really well with bleed. So if you get somebody frozen next to you and bleeding, you can deal huge amounts of damage onto them in really quick bursts, and then you can use things like stealth, you can use things like shadow play or backdrop and stuff like that to really get away and keep yourself safe. So that's kind of the 6 classes I'm going to play. I don't really plan on streaming long today. I just wanted to talk about that and go over the classes I'm looking at. I'm pretty much done with PTS at this point. I don't really want to burn out on the game. I've been playing it pretty much. I didn't get in on the media test server, but other than that, I've pretty much been playing it nonstop. So I'm just kind of gonna step away from it a little bit. I know that all these classes are getting reset anyways. I don't get to save any of this for AAU, so there's no point in trying to hard grind them all up and then sit there at max level and then have them all reset anyways. I've seen all I need to see. I'm very happy with the way Archeage Unchained is looking. So yeah, I'm pretty much done. I got really nothing else to say. That's all I wanted to cover today. So thanks for stopping by, everybody. I'm out.
Saturday nights, blueberry cigarillos, swishes make my throat hurt, rolling up.